Steel and Flame, Book 1 of the Guilds of Avlaan series is available on Amazon. If you like fluffy wolf lolly protagonists and Japanese light novels, follow the link below to check it out.
Hello, Leonardo Cornejo here, and today I want to talk about something that was inspired by last. No, it was in. I don't remember if it was in late April or in early May, but about the controversy pertaining the release of Hades 2 and specifically the design of Hestia. It was awful. That's the opening sentence. It was about design, and that's what I want to talk about. The fact that a successful brand can have a bad design, why it was a bad design, and what you can do to avoid that. First of all, there are many successful brands which have one or more bad character designs. For example, Naruto has some really bad designs. Particular, for example, I think Sasuke's outfit in the earlier series was terrible. And Naruto's too, but many say it is a rememberable design, it is good. But the problem with Sasuke's outfit is that it serves no purpose. The extremely wide neckline in the shirt serves no purpose. It would actually get in the way. There is nothing that gives stealth to that outfit. Both Naruto and Sasuke are extremely visible, and they are supposed to be ninjas, so that's a terrible idea. And neither outfit really had anything Japanese. In Shippuden, they fixed that with Sasuke specifically. A bit with Naruto too, since now it wasn't all orange, it was orange and black, which is better than all orange, especially regarding stealth. And the design was simpler. Simpler is often better, because it doesn't have that many details getting in the way. In the case of Sasuke, they went for a design that is pretty much more traditional Japanese, and it really had a better style. The original outfit was awful. Actually, the one of the few characters who really dressed in a way a modern ninja would dress, to not stand out too much, to have agility, to have stealth, was actually Rock Lee. While the color, the standard color of ninjas was actually blue. A dull dark green would be better for not standing out than bright orange or black. He doesn't have many objects hanging from his clothes, only the weights basically, which he can remove. He doesn't really have too many unnecessary details. Excessive detail can be unnecessary, and it can ruin a good design. That's one of the starting problems, for example, with Hestia's design. It was ugly. It was ugly in many ways. First of all, the face. The face of an old lady. Hestia isn't supposed to look old. Almost all Greek gods are basically at their prime, and Hestia was youthful because of some weird context. To explain it, Kronos ate his children. Hestia is the firstborn, the first one to be eaten, but it's the last to be expelled, so she is considered the oldest and youngest, because she was born twice, and basically was held timeless due to Kronos. Basically, they aged to their prime and they stopped aging, and she was basically the one that stopped aging for the longest. So she was basically a youthful looking mature woman, not an old lady. So giving her an old lady face is very contrarian to Hestia, to the goddess. And to make it worse, they made her entirely black except for vitiligo patches. First of all, you can make a character entirely black in skin tone, not even necessarily African looking, but entirely black in skin tone, like for example, I don't know, a deity or something like that, and make it look cool. There are many characters who look great with pitch black skin, men and women, and there are many great characters who are African in origin. For example, the protagonist of Prototype 2. I actually like him more than Mercer. Um, you have many characters who look great despite that, but you can tell when it is a DEI reason, because they don't look good, and that's the problem here. You can even have characters who look great with vitiligo patches, but you can't have it all. You can't have a pitch black character with vitiligo patches who is old and wrinkled and fat. You need to choose. You need to choose one of these. Basically, you can have a pitch black character who looks supernatural and mystical. You can have a dark skinned character with vitiligo patches. You can have an attractive old looking character, or you can have an attractive fat character. If you combine them all at the same time, odds are you will have an ugly character. And ugly characters are only liked by the public when they look cool. An example, one of my favorite examples, because I really like the design of the character, even of his personality. Well, he's ugly inside and outside, but he's likable in the sense that he has this rule of cool, bad character attitude, that this personality that he's nasty, he's immoral, but he acts like an anti-hero or like an villainous protagonist. Styx from the series of the same name, and a pre-existing game, I think it was of Orcs and Men, I think it was the name, who is a goblin, a very ugly character by default, but less ugly than the other goblins, who are basically his inferiors, who are not intelligent. He's less ugly and he looks quite human. He has this ugly, intimidating look, and not just plain ugly. If it is ugly done, odds are your character won't be well liked, unless it is ugly on purpose and there is some sort of, I don't know, joke about it or plot point about it. You know, characters like, for example, Quasimodo, who is meant to be extremely ugly. That can work when the character is suffering a tragedy because of his ugliness, not when you are trying to portray a deity who is supposed to be the most beautiful of the ancient gods. Yes, more beautiful than Aphrodite, actually. More beautiful than Hera. She was actually rival to all the other gods in terms of attractiveness. But her attractiveness was a more homely one, since she was basically a goddess of the heart and the household. She was basically this approachable, pretty goddess. Making her fat would make a bit of sense, but you need to make her not fat, but rather chubby, cute, attractive. You know, the kind of character basically only the Japanese make. Why? Because she was the goddess who ate first. Since she was the oldest goddess, most rituals included a tribute to her alongside a tribute to the other gods. Basically, she eats before the other gods get their tribute. So yeah, making her a chubby baker girl will make sense, and that's important because it will connect with another Hestia, who was the center of comparison in a lot of ways. But back to the ugly one, the hair. The idea is that the hair is supposed to look like flames. It looks like a clown wig. Doesn't look like flames, it looks like a clown wig. And to make it worse, they put this metal recipient, which was used for, it was a brazier used for hot coals, atop her head. That's a terrible idea. Imagine walking around with something that hot on your head. It looks bad because it looks bad in combination with most of the other aspects. It looks cumbersome, it looks, literally walking with a hat full of hot coals. A metallic hat which is constantly heating up. It looks uncomfortable. Adding to that, the outfit, first of all, looks bad because of the character's body type. Makes the character, the outfit itself is very bulky, very inflated. Makes the character look like the Michelin Man, or Vivendum. Because she's also fat, which basically makes her look like the Michelin Man. It looks awful. It looks bad. Not counting the fabric, there is also the details of the neck and the waist, which have this weird metal grate thing. They end in the piece ends in sharp edges. That's terrible. First of all, a metal grating of any kind will restrict your movement, so basically the waistline and neckline are extremely restricted. She couldn't move her neck up and down. And to worsen the detail, the designers had the wonderful, bright, genius idea of putting pointy ends, well, not precisely pointy, but vertical ends on it. The proper ending of such an outfit would be a ring around it, closing in a ring, so that at least when they move, the neck wouldn't be injured. But you have these metal bars poking out. It looks bad. It looks masochistic. It looks like a very different theme. And actually there was a torture device which consisted of two pointy metal objects which prevented lowering the head. So not only the motion of head and waist is restricted, it is also painfully restricted. The design is bad. The outfit is bad, the hairstyle is bad, the face is bad, the character is bad. The design is bad, and people were applauding it. Because it was made diverse. That's it. That's it. Now, people began to compare it with the other Hestia from Danmachi. That Hestia is closer to the original, and actually I saw someone made art. I'm not sure if it is canon alternate art or just fan-made, but I think it was from a gacha game actually, of her basically wearing what the real Hestia would wear, a veil and a long white dress with very little details, and this bracer held on her hands, not on her head, which is how many will hold it. There are statues. It is important to point out there are statues of Hestia with the bracer here, but that's more symbolic. Don't take it too literally, and they had the function of being the bracer itself. Basically, people would put the hot coals here and basically turn the statue into a torch. And there are many statues of gods like that. It had a practical function. It was not part of her outfit, and there were others carrying it with the hands, which is more accurate, more realistic. Normally realism isn't good, but in this case let's make an exception, because to real people with hands it is more practical to carry something with their hands than on their heads. There were also statues of gods with bases on their heads, which were not, because there were recipients. The statue itself was a recipient, and they were not supposed to be carrying it on their head. Balancing objects on one's head is quite a challenge. Now the important part is that Danmachi Hestia has a trait which you could point at and say makes sense. First of all, the Danmachi Hestia, many say, but she doesn't look like she does. She does in the sense that she's a white girl. Remember, Mediterranean equals white in many portrayals. Not literally, but in many portrayals, and technically it's white European. Mediterranean is one of the many white European ethnicities. Some Mediterraneans have olive skin, but that's something to set aside. You have This white girl with long black hair, which was common in the Mediterranean, one of the hair colors seen by Mediterranean people, wearing a white dress, a very simple white dress with only a blue ribbon. Blue was a very popular color for nobility through centuries in many regions, including the Mediterranean, where it was a very popular color in general. And that's it. And she's very well endowed in the front, and she's youthful, despite being a thousand years old goddess. That fits Hestia better. In fact, the large breasts make sense if we are talking about a girl who eats a lot. Remember that in Japan, being overweight is associated with large breasts. So it makes sense. Her design makes a lot more sense than the other Hestia, who looks like a fat old lady with a lot of unnecessary details. Someone even drew the Anmachi Hestia wearing the outfit of the Hades 2 Hestia, and while it was an improvement, the outfit still remains bad because of the metal gratings and the bracer on the head. It's really a bad design. Then there is also another one made by these guys, Pascu and Rodri. They make some history and mythology related songs with animated videos. They are really funny, and their version of Hestia is basically an orange skinned goddess. All their gods have weird looking skin. They have non-human looking skin, which is with colors related to their theme. For example, Zeus is blue because of lightning. This orange skinned girl with a very spiky hair, which looks like fire, like flames, dressed in pink, wearing a very simple looking pink dress. She looks youthful. There are jokes about her being an otaku. There is even a reference to Maruchan in a part of the video. She's shown eating snacks, playing games, being silly, being childish, despite being the oldest. That fits better than the than the Hades 2 Hestia. I am not saying Hades 2 is necessarily bad. I don't like roguelikes. I am not playing the game. I saw some really bad things about the people working on it, which make me think I'm not wanting to play this. The fandom is awful. I don't like the character designs in general. I mean, specifically the Hestia one, I really don't like it. And the Hephaestus one, that one was also bad. Extremely bad too. First of all, because yes, it is true that Hephaestus lacked a leg, and he made a mechanical leg to compensate for that. So making him a fat faggot in a wheelchair, that's not it. And I am using the term in the South Park context of a cowardly annoying man. I am not using it to attack homosexuals, because Hephaestus is not homosexual. Actually, I think it fits better to call him a cock, because he's married to Aphrodite. A fat cock wearing a man bun, making him look like a passive homosexual in a wheelchair. It's awful, the design. The hairstyle is very contrary to Hephaestus. Hephaestus wasn't fat. There is no way a blacksmith who was constantly toiling with his hammer would be fat. A blacksmith who carries heavy things would be fat. Or at least not that kind of fat, not that kind of blubbery, obese man. If he was somewhat fat, he would be more like a luchador, barrel-shaped, muscular. And he was not in a wheelchair. First of all, because he made an artificial leg to compensate the lack of a leg, because he did walk, and he did fight. Most of the time he was forging, but he was not a weak man. He was not this weak, effeminate looking man. The Hades 2 designs are extremely disrespectful to the gods. I will put it that way. You could argue artistic liberties, yes, but when the artistic liberties have this stench of DEI, people will be repelled by them. And good designs generally tend to be simpler. Again, with the comparison of the Danmachi Hestia. The reason people remember her and like her is because her design is very simple. Twin tails, ribbons to hold the tails in place, black hair, long, a white dress, and a ribbon around the chest for decoration. She wears nothing more. Well, I remember she had some details in the ankles and the wrists, but her outfit doesn't really stand too much. Simpler outfits are better. Outfits without hanging objects, for example, tend to be better. For example, when I designed Ruwa, I thought of something simple that looked youthful, that looked like she was a girl following some recent fashion, and that looked skimpy without being too showy. Because I wanted to make her wear a bikini armor later on, but in the first book I wanted her to look like a very simple girl, who she is in terms of clothing. So she wears denim shorts, a purple shirt, and carries a backpack. The backpack is for function. That's it. That's all she wears. She has other outfits, but those are not all featured in the covers. In the second cover, she wears a hunting outfit which consists of a green skirt, a green top, and a hood with antlers, which come from a deer she hunted. That's it. I look for designs that are simpler. I prefer designs that are simpler because designs with excessive details, with excessive clashing details, tend to work against the character. There are characters with complicated designs which have been a success. For example, the Final Fantasy series had the tendency to make such characters. You can see that especially in Tetsuya Nomura's design. You can see that, for example, in the design of Kefka Palazzo, who has really exaggerated details. The clothing in Final Fantasy XII, in almost all characters, has many details, many decorations, small pendants, things hanging from the wrists, things like that. But that requires a combination of artistry, talent, creativity, intelligence, and attention to detail to make it happen. You can't just throw around details at random, and sometimes those details need to be extremely coherent. For example, you can have a character who has armlets with intricate designs and a shirt and a vest, not a shirt, a vest with matching design, and a plain white shirt, and and the boots with the same design as the armlets and the vest, and black pants, and the small details in the outfit don't clash with the rest. The design I am describing is taking inspiration, for example, from Balthier from Final Fantasy XII, who wears a leather vest with intricate design. You can have characters with many details in their outfit, but they are harder. It is harder to make them look good. You can. Some people have done it. There are examples, many examples, but often simpler is better because it's easier, especially for someone who has not practiced a lot or who is not great at drawing. Like me, I suck at drawing, so I just describe the details and get the artist to make them down, and I try to make it simple to not exert too much pressure in the artist. It is easier to make a good design when it is simpler. It is not impossible to make a very detailed and complex design to look good, but it requires a lot more effort, a lot more time, a lot more talent, a lot more patience, and often a lot of more money. Money also matters in this context. In fact, even the art style can work against that. For example, the same designs of Final Fantasy XII were used for the strategy game Final Fantasy XII 2, which had the characters drawn in a more anime style design, and they had to remove some of the small details found in the 3D more realistic design used for the main game. Sometimes those small details, those complex details might clash with the art style. The art style can actually work against having those small details, and especially when the details are not very well planned. As I said, for example, I think one of the things I hated the most about the Hades 2 Hestia design was the face, especially the wrinkles and the vitiligo patches, and the shape of the face looked bloated. I hated that. The bracer on the head and the metal grating on the neck and the waist. The dress itself looks bulky, but it isn't necessarily ugly. But the other details are really bad, and they clash a lot with the dress. The hair is bad too, but the hair is meant to combine with the bracer into something really ugly, to be honest. The details were not a combination of the design not being compatible with the details, and the details were being not well planned, made the design extremely ugly. It is hard to describe the problem, but there is also a problem with the outline. For example, using again Final Fantasy XII, Balthier, Van, Penelo, Fran, Ashelia, Bast, who can be easily mistaken for Van. There is a plot point about that. They have a relatively simple outline, despite having all these small details in the clothes, pendants and all that. When it is only the outline, the silhouette of the character, it is quite simple and easily recognizable. That's something many recommend when you make a design. Make the outline recognizable, make the outline simple. Even if your character has many small details, make the outline simple. The Hades Hestia doesn't have that. The hair, the bracer, the the dress itself, everything has a very weird outline. It gives you an uncomfortable feeling. It enters the uncanny valley. The character enters the uncanny valley. It is badly designed, and this art style doesn't help. As I said, some art styles are better for the detailed designs than others. Sometimes the art style works against the artist for a design, for details, for all those things. That's the case here. That's the case with this design that was awful. There are ways to improve it. First of all, I think the best way to improve it was taking the bracer off her head. Please remove that. The fashion police said that doesn't go there. Maybe put a chef hat, since she's the goddess of the heart and she's a heavy eater. Make her chubby instead of bloated. The face looks bloated. Make her chubby instead of bloated. Give her olive skin if you want a darker skin tone. Give her a more olive skin, or pitch black, but black, magical black, and not this weird suit black that looks ugly. No vitiligo patches, please. Stop. It's not cool anymore. There are good designs with that, but it's not cool anymore. Stop. And take the grades off. Leave the rest of the dress can stay, and the hair, make it more like wavy flame and less spiky flame. You can make a flame like hair and look good, but that spiky flowering hair that combines wrong with the bloated face. It's bad. And don't make her wrinkled. Make her look like, how do I say it? Like a chubby, motherly character. Not a bloated, elderly character. That will work. That will fix the design. That will improve it drastically. But since there are DI policies and all this done by DIAs that we need to convince people that vitiligo is super healthy and super attractive, no, girls with vitiligo are attractive despite vitiligo, not because of it. Because it is an autoimmune disease, which actually correlates to other autoimmune diseases. I know a friend, he has several autoimmune diseases, including vitiligo. Including celiac disease. It's fucked up. It correlates to several autoimmune diseases, and it can actually make life harder. So no, it is not it doesn't make someone attractive. Attractive people with vitiligo are attractive despite vitiligo, not because of it. So stop that. Seriously, stop that. Also, the patches are, I mean, it looks bad. Some said, no, that's her real skin and it is soot. No, the thing is they designed her soot black with vitiligo patches. It's a bad design. It's a terrible design. I think the best design for Hestia, if you want to say, oh, she's a goddess of the heart, because that's the excuse they had. Oh, but it is because it is with it follows the heart motif. Make her a baker. Make her a baker, because that's what they use hearts for. Make her a fucking baker. Give her some like wavy fire instead of spiky fire hairstyle, and make her look homely, motherly, not elderly. Not make her chubby, not bloated. But these people don't understand the importance of subtlety, the importance of following a coherence in the motif. Yes, she's following this heart motif, but with basically all the different kinds of elements. I mean, you can have a fire motif, you could have a brazier motif, you could have a cold motif, but you need to follow the coherence of one. You can't have them all. And seriously, the grades around the neck are bad. Instead of that, you could, if you want, you could put some sort of choker with a fire motif in it. If you want something around the neck, a choker with these small flame-shaped designs, and in the waist a waistband. And they were common in ancient Greece, waistbands, belts, a waistband with the same fire design. You could even use a waistband with a flexible grate, if you want to make it a grate, flexible and not ending in spiky points, but in a ring. Or if your idea was like making this dress piece, which is kind of the idea they were having, like this dress support. Again, use the great part, the firm hard part for the lower end, and in the waistline you put a flexible waistband with the fire motif again. You can make that design better by focusing on only one theme. Or for example, you want to make it themed around coal and around the coal and embers, because the whole heart thing, coal, embers, all that. You can have coals hanging from her hair. For example, I don't know, you make it a ponytail, and the objects keeping the ponytail together are two coals tied together. It will be with following the motif, and you make the rest of the outfit around the theme of embers. For example, you could have floating embers around her. In fact, floating objects, which are common in divine related designs, work better than attached objects if you want to follow a motif with burning things. There are many ways to make that design better, which I could list, which I could describe, and will never happen because that's not the design they went for. The problem is that they made a design that was not memorable, not good looking, not attractive, not simple. They basically took all the advice you could give to someone regarding designs and threw it away and made a character which combines all the possible mistakes in a design. Too many details, uncomfortable looking details, ugly, not cool looking ugly, not supposed to be ugly, unappealing. They failed at making a good design. The people defending it are not being sincere to themselves and to others. They don't want to admit the design was bad. Well, that's it for today. Have a good one.